Right now, somewhere on a beach, a baby sea turtle is about to make the most dangerous run of its entire life, and it's only a few minutes old. Out of every 1,000 babies that hatch tonight, scientists estimate only one will survive to adulthood. This is the story of that run, and it starts before the turtle even reaches the ocean. 015 to 040. A mother sea turtle can lay over 100 eggs in a single nest, buried deep in warm sand. Then she leaves, forever. She never comes back to protect them. When the eggs hatch, usually at night, dozens of baby turtles dig their way up through the sand, together, and immediately face their first decision. Which direction is the ocean? They use the natural light reflecting off the water to guide them. But here's the problem. Beachfront lights, cars, and buildings can confuse that instinct completely, sending hatchlings the wrong way, straight toward danger instead of safety. Even the ones heading the right direction aren't safe. Crabs wait at the edge of the dunes. Birds circle overhead, watching for movement in the sand. This entire crossing, sometimes just a few dozen meters, is often called the gauntlet. And most hatchlings that die right here, before they've even touched the water for the first time. But surviving the beach is only step one. Because the moment a hatchling reaches the water, new danger, an entirely different set of predators is waiting. Fish, larger crabs, seabirds diving from above. Scientists call the first 24 hours in open water the most dangerous period of a sea turtle's entire life. More dangerous, statistically, than anything it will face as an adult. And here's something most people don't expect. Newly hatched turtles don't hide on the sea floor. Instead, they swim continuously for nearly 24 to 48 hours straight, heading toward open ocean, using every bit of energy they have, because deeper water means fewer predators. It's a race against exhaustion and being eaten at the exact same time. Here's where it gets stranger. For years, scientists didn't actually know where baby sea turtles went after this swim. They seemed to just vanish for almost a decade. Researchers now call this mysterious period the lost years. Using satellite tags, they eventually discovered that hatchlings drift with ocean currents, often hiding in floating mats of seaweed thousands of kilometers from shore, growing slowly, safely out of sight, until they're large enough to return to coastal waters as young adults. The return, 210 to 245. If a sea turtle survives all of this, the beach, the first 48 hours, the lost years drifting across entire oceans, it can go on to live 50, 70, even over 100 years. And here's the most incredible part. Decades later, female sea turtles return to nest on the exact same beach where they themselves hatched, navigating thousands of kilometers using Earth's magnetic field like an internal compass, something scientists are still working to fully understand. Modern threat, 245 to 315. But today, the odds have gotten even harder. Plastic pollution in the ocean is now one of the leading threats to sea turtles. They often mistake floating plastic bags for jellyfish, one of their favorite foods. Fishing nets, boat strikes, and disappearing nesting beaches due to coastal development have added entirely new dangers that didn't exist when this survival system first evolved millions of years ago. 315 to sow somewhere tonight. Another nest of eggs is hatching. Another few dozen hatchlings are about to make that same run across the sand, into the same dangerous ocean, following the same instincts that have guided this species for over 100 million years. Most won't make it, but the ones that do will spend the next century of their lives quietly carrying forward one of the oldest survival stories in the natural world. If this story surprised you, hit subscribe. Next week, we look at an animal that can regrow its own heart.
If you had to pick the single smartest creature living in our oceans, most scientists wouldn't pick a dolphin or a shark or a whale. They'd pick something far stranger. A boneless, 8-armed creature with 3 hearts and blue blood. The octopus. And despite being one of the most intelligent animals on Earth, nature gave it one of the shortest, cruelest lives of any creature we know. Let's start with what makes the octopus so remarkable. An octopus doesn't have one brain, it has 9. A central brain sits between its eyes, but 2/3 of its neurons are spread across its 8 arms, meaning each arm can essentially think and react on its own, even if separated from the body. Octopuses have opened child-proof jars from the inside, solved multi-step mazes, and used coconut shells as portable armor, carrying them across the seafloor to use as shelter later. In captivity, octopuses have squeezed their entire boneless bodies through gaps barely wider than a coin, just to sneak into a neighboring tank at night and eat another animal's food, then squeeze back before morning. But all that intelligence exists for one single reason: staying alive for one more day. An octopus has no shell, no spines, no bones of any kind. Its entire body is muscle and skin. So instead of armor, evolution gave it camouflage beyond anything else in the animal kingdom. Using specialized skin cells called chromatophores, an octopus can change its color and texture in less than a second, mimicking rocks, coral, or sand so precisely that predators swim right past it. Some species, like the mimic octopus, can even imitate the shape and movement of other dangerous animals, flattening itself to look like a poisonous flatfish, or waving 2 arms to imitate a sea snake. If camouflage fails, it has one more trick: releasing a thick cloud of ink to confuse a predator, then jetting away using water propulsion. And if a predator manages to grab an arm anyway, the octopus can simply let it go. The arm detaches, keeps wriggling on its own to distract the attacker, and slowly regrows over the following weeks. Despite all of this, most octopus species only live for 1 to 2 years. And the way their life ends is where the story turns tragic. When a female octopus is ready to reproduce, she finds a den, lays her eggs, sometimes over 100,000 of them, and then something changes in her body. A gland near her brain, called the optic gland, triggers a biological process that scientists sometimes compare to a countdown. She stops eating entirely. She spends every remaining moment of her life guarding her eggs, gently blowing water over them to keep them oxygenated, protecting them from predators, without ever leaving to feed herself. By the time her eggs finally hatch, weeks or months later, she has starved to death right beside them, having given everything she had to protect a generation she will never see grow up. Male octopuses fare no better. In most species, mating itself weakens the male significantly, and he typically dies within weeks afterward, his body simply shutting down once his biological purpose is complete. So here is one of the most intelligent animals ever studied by science, capable of solving problems some primates can't, capable of recognizing individual human faces, capable of outsmarting predators far larger than itself. And yet, it's given barely enough time to become an adult before its body is already programmed to shut down. Every single day of an octopus's short life is spent solving the same impossible question: how do I survive today? And for most of them, they only get to ask that question about 365 times before the answer runs out. Nature gave the octopus a brilliant mind. It just never gave it enough time to use it. If this changed how you see the ocean, hit subscribe. Next week, we look at an animal that can punch harder than a bullet.
Why it's hard to be born as a mantis shrimp. Somewhere in a coral reef, a creature barely the length of your hand is about to throw a punch faster than a bullet leaves a gun. It's not a joke, and it's not exaggeration. It's the mantis shrimp, and its entire life is built around one terrifying weapon that even it can't fully control. There are two kinds of mantis shrimp: spearers, which stab prey with sharp, barbed claws, and smashers, which is where this story gets interesting. A smasher's front claw isn't a claw at all. It's a club, and it moves so fast that scientists needed high-speed cameras just to study it properly. The strike accelerates faster than a .22 caliber bullet leaving a gun barrel. It happens in under 0.003 of a second. Here's what makes it genuinely strange. The punch is so fast, it boils the water around it. As the claw slams forward, it creates a rapidly collapsing bubble, a process called cavitation. When that bubble collapses, it releases a flash of light and a burst of heat that, for a fraction of a second, approaches the temperature of the surface of the sun. This means a mantis shrimp doesn't just hit its prey once. It hits it with the club, and then a shock wave hits it again, a split second later. Some prey never even see what killed them. This punch is powerful enough to shatter aquarium glass. Public aquariums that keep mantis shrimp have to use reinforced tanks because a determined smasher has cracked ordinary glass trying to get at food or simply defending its territory. If the punch is strange, the eyes are stranger. Human eyes have 3 types of color receptors. A mantis shrimp has somewhere between 12 and 16. Each eye can move independently and sees using 3 separate bands simultaneously, giving it a form of depth perception most animals don't have from a single eye alone. It can also detect polarized light, a type of light most animals, including us, are completely blind to. Scientists still don't fully understand why an animal needs this much visual processing power just to survive on a reef. Some researchers believe the mantis shrimp doesn't process color the way we assume, that its brain may use a completely different, faster method of color recognition that no other animal on Earth uses. But all of this power and perception comes at a cost. A mantis shrimp's weapon is so dangerous that it can't afford to be careless with it, even with its own kind. Mantis shrimp are almost always solitary. They dig and defend a burrow alone, and if another mantis shrimp, of any size, wanders into that territory, the response is immediate and often violent. Fights between rival mantis shrimp can end with cracked shells, lost limbs, or death. And then there's molting. To grow, a mantis shrimp has to shed its entire exoskeleton, including the specialized club that makes it so dangerous. During this period, its body is soft, slow, and completely unable to throw the strike that normally protects it. This is by far the most vulnerable point in its life, and it's a point every mantis shrimp has to pass through, again and again, for as long as it lives. Predators know this. Even other mantis shrimp know this. A freshly molted mantis shrimp hiding in its burrow is one of the few times this otherwise fearsome animal is genuinely helpless. Here's what most people don't expect from an animal this violent. Some mantis shrimp species are monogamous, staying with the same partner for up to 20 years, sharing a burrow and raising broods together season after season. In a world where the mantis shrimp trusts almost nothing and no one, it appears at least a few species have found the one relationship worth not fighting. So here is an animal armed with one of the fastest strikes in the natural world, eyes more advanced than anything else on the reef, and a body built entirely around violence and precision. And yet, every single molt strips that power away completely. leaving it as vulnerable as anything else living in the sand. The mantis shrimp doesn't get to be powerful all the time. It has to earn that power back, over and over, every time it grows. It's one of the ocean's most feared hunters, and one of its most fragile survivors, depending on the day. If this surprised you, hit subscribe. Next week, we look at an animal that dies the moment it finds true love.
The axolotl looks like a cartoon character brought to life, a permanent smile, feathery external gills framing its face, and an almost unbelievable ability to regrow nearly any part of its body. But behind that adorable face is one of the most fragile, quietly tragic survival stories in the animal kingdom. Axolotls belong to a rare category of amphibians described as neotenic, meaning they never fully undergo metamorphosis. While most salamanders eventually lose their gills and move onto land as adults, axolotls keep their feathery external gills and remain fully aquatic their entire lives, essentially staying in a juvenile form permanently, even as full-grown reproductively mature adults. What makes axolotls genuinely remarkable to scientists is their regenerative ability. An axolotl can lose a leg, its tail, part of its spinal cord, or even sections of its heart and brain, and regrow the damaged tissue almost perfectly with no scarring at all. This happens through a process where cells at the wound site transform into a mass called a blastema, which then regrows into fully functional new tissue, complete with muscle, bone, and nerves. Because of this ability, axolotls have become one of the most heavily studied animals in regenerative medicine, with researchers hoping to eventually unlock similar healing capabilities for human injuries. Despite being one of the most recognizable amphibians on the internet today, axolotls in the wild are critically endangered. They exist naturally in only one place on Earth, a shrinking network of canals and lakes near Mexico City, primarily what remains of Lake Xochimilco. Urban expansion, water pollution, and invasive fish species introduced decades ago, including tilapia and carp that eat axolotl eggs and compete for food, have devastated the wild population. Some recent surveys have found shockingly few axolotls remaining in their natural habitat, a steep decline from populations recorded just a few decades earlier. Here's the strange, almost backwards reality of the axolotl situation. Because of their popularity as pets and their importance in scientific research, there are likely more axolotls living in aquariums and laboratories around the world today than exist in the wild altogether. Selective breeding in captivity has also produced striking color variations, almost including the pale pink, golden-eyed leucistic axolotl that has become especially popular online, colors that would rarely, if ever, survive in their natural, predator-filled habitat, so the axolotl exists in a strange kind of paradox. An animal capable of regrowing its own heart, yet unable to fully protect itself from the slow disappearance of the only home it has ever known. Its regenerative powers might one day help save human lives through medical research, but ironically, that same research may end up being the reason axolotls are remembered at all. If their wild population continues to shrink,